these morning shows, the common thing that people would say is that these are really just a bit like clickbait for the internet, where you could say that the arguments are a little bit contrived, or that they're an endless back and forth that's really just an argument for the sake of an argument, and the only intention is to draw in the viewers. Kind of like the Jeremy Kyle, Jerry Springer type thing, where it's more of a spectacle than anything else. Well, it's kind of dawned on me that these things just need somebody to be the judge, and I'm happy to take on that role. So here's another one. I guess it's kind of abridged from Piers Morgan bringing it up at the end of the previous video. So perhaps we'll see some similarities between the vegan and the trans activist. But aren't these fun for observing people's body language, and we're really getting to the bottom of what people really think and the agendas that people are trying to carry out. Well, I see them all.
It's the traditional Christmas dinner, but have you ever given much thought to where your turkey comes from?
And I hope that the audio is not messed up this time.
Is giving his customers very clear insight, offering them the chance to not only hand pick, but feed, look after, and name their turkey all through this week of Christmas.
As you can imagine, this initiative hasn't gone down well with vegans, who have accused him of being a murderer and a psychopath. But is this just another example of
That's more projection right there.
militant vegans going too far? Or might they have a point?
Well, we're joined by Matt now from his farm in Exeter, alongside Megan, so welcome to both of you. Matt, we'll start with you. It all started with a post on Facebook.
Now this looks like a stand-up guy, right? You know, you can tell he's got a business. He's a well put together guy. He's providing a service for society.
Yeah, I was out feeding the turkeys one day, and I just thought it would be a nice idea if I allowed people to come and see them and meet the turkey, and then possibly name it.
And so
So I put the post on Facebook, and
I've got the post here. It says, come and pick your own Christmas turkey at the farm shop. We'll put a name tag on it. Come and feed it, help look after it for the next 2 months. You won't need to get involved in any of the difficult bits at the end. We'll even bonus stuff for you when you come and pick it up in time for Christmas. So what sort of reaction did you get?
oh, we've had a lot of people take us up on the offer, and then we also had a lot of people who were violently against us, and they didn't want us to do it. They wanted us to take the post down.
How did they show
It went
their
viral
violent
within not
opposition?
very long. It was seen by 500,000 people. It started on just keyboard warriors from behind their keyboard typing messages, and then we started getting a few phone calls, and then we had a graffiti across the front of the doors of the farm shop, and then a few of my members of staff started to get targeted by their own social media, so they obviously looked them up and then targeted them.
I should say, this is the self-righteous. This is all of their good intentions. They are the loving and kind people, and this is their display of inclusion. If you don't submit to them, they're going to terrorise you. But don't forget, they're the nice people.
A few of my members of staff started to get targeted by their own social media, so they obviously looked them up and then targeted them.
You've said though, perhaps what they don't realise is that they've done you a massive favour. Your sales have gone through the roof. For the last couple of years, you've sold 1,000 turkeys, but this year you're double that at 2,000.
Yeah, and ultimately, all of these activists, they are the grand fool at the end of the day, and all they can really do is shoot themselves in the foot. And this guy knows it. You know, all of this has been premeditated as promotion for his business. He's not bothered by vegans. I'm sure he's had to deal with them his entire career. So he's going to use the opportunity to promote himself, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, for us, it's been they've done us a big favour. I mean, the fact that I'm on TV talking to you today and showing you my turkeys is good, really.
So, just from your point of view, why do you think it's a good idea to name your turkey and get involved in the final couple of months of its life?
Well, I'm a father, and my children, I want them to know where their meat comes from. I want them to understand what it's about being a farmer, and also not just thinking that the food comes out of a packet in a supermarket. I want them to understand, and if they then make an informed choice, which Lucy's obviously done, to become a vegan, then they've made that on an informed decision. But I don't think they should be making that decision blind and not knowing that their meat comes from animals.
And how are your children with that? Because I'm not a vegan, but to sort of strike a bond with an animal and name it, I can't imagine doing that with my daughter and sort of almost acting like.
I get the impression that they both are more on the side of the vegan, and there's probably going to be a few examples of that going forward in this video, but this turning to Philip, and she's almost looking for confirmation bias. You know, the vegan has labelled the farmer a psychopath because the vegan has the impression that developing a bond with an animal and then killing it is some kind of duplicitous psychopathy. I think that she agrees with that interpretation, but she's not going to say it outright. And I'm sure that she's signalling that to Philip.
Then animal and name it. I can't imagine doing that with my daughter and sort of almost acting like it's a pet or, you know, something that you're fond of, and then the realisation of what actually happens to that animal.
We've been massively infantilized as a people, and the thought of killing, even for food, is reprehensible in the collective consciousness. But for those that eat meat, they are content in doing so without the knowledge of where it comes from. And this guy's argument, is that people should know where their meat comes from, instead of having this blind eye of eating meat. But on the other hand, they would condemn anyone who provides it for them.
How are children with that?
Yeah, the whole naming thing was slightly taken out of context. The naming thing was written when I was out in the middle of the field feeding them, and I meant we'll have to name the turkey so you'll know that turkey belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That turkey belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Stone. So it wasn't. Although some people have named them and come up with names for them, but the fact still remains the same that people should know where their meat comes from, and if you're going to buy meat, then why not know that it's come from an ethical farm that's well looked after, and the turkeys have been free range and had a good life.
And this is what the vegans are not prepared to discuss: the difference between a battery farm and a free range farm. In the mind of the vegan, they both come under the same category, because at the end of the day the animals end up dead. But there's a big difference between an animal that's been treated inhumanely its entire life and is looked at purely as food, and an animal that's been given a respectable life and has then been killed in order to provide food for somebody. They're not interested in the difference between the two. And in the end, actually, we will only end up with the battery farms.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Of course.
What do you mean by ethical exactly?
But their meat comes from animals.
And how are your children with that? Because something that you're.
I was out in the middle of the field feeding. And if you're going to buy meat after
What
Now, I said this was a stand-up guy. On the other hand, I think she's a snake. And the way she's going to give you the impression that she's asking a question in full sincerity. But this is actually an interrogation. And she's been given license to do this to him by being brought onto the show.
What do you mean by ethical exactly?
What do you mean by ethical exactly? I am so self-righteous.
well, being well looked after, they're free range. They're slaughtered humanely and looked after the best way
What
possible.
is a humane slaughter?
This is her smoking gun. In fact, it's the only bullet she has, and it's a blank. I'll be honest, love. It's a blank.
Exactly.
Well, in the most stressful.
Let's just say, for argument's sake, that this one is going to say nothing about the widespread practice of halal, where the animal is turned upside down, its throat is cut, and all the blood is drained out of it.
Free possible.
What does that entail?
Well, it entails killing the turkey. But there's
How
no
do
other
you
way
do
of
that?
getting your Christmas dinner without killing the turkey.
Just out of interest, how do you kill the turkey? Just genuinely
You
curious.
slip-
She already knows. This is a rhetorical device which is intended to trick the audience into thinking that he's withholding some information from the public. But in fact, we all already know what happens to the animals, and your point is mute.
Slit the turkey's throat.
Okay.
Lucy, you obviously, we see the point that you're making there.
Yeah.
Is there any?
What was the point, Philip? Can we please can we determine what the point was? Because as far as I'm aware, the point was, but isn't killing wrong? That was the extent of the point that was being made.
Area here that you agree with Matt that it's quite important. It's very European. The French are very good at this, and
Okay.
you have a relationship with your food. You know where it comes from. You can make an informed choice. You don't walk into a supermarket and it's packaged up.
The vegans will say nothing about all of the animals which, left to their own devices, are merely predators and prey.
Lots of children, when they buy their lamb chops, have no clue where they
Yes,
actually came
exactly.
from.
I do think
so
that's
is there any
important.
point that you agree with here?
At first, obviously, I was a bit like, this is kind of psychotic because, this is the kind of way that you would treat a pet.
Well, you did actually say anyone who
Yeah.
names their turkey, anyone who goes onto that farm and does that is psychotic.
Yeah, but obviously I disagree with the killing of animals, full stop.
Oh, well, I can't be expected to be responsible for what I say on the internet. When I called all farmers a psychopath, I can't be held accountable for saying that. And I roll my eyes and just say, well, I'm a vegan. What do you expect, Philip?
But at the same time, I've thought
You know I'm a psychopath, and you know I'm going to project that onto everybody else.
about it, and I think actually, in a way, it's good because I want people to be able to make a connection with these animals and realise that they actually, have souls and that they feel.
When will you be seen down at the farm make a connection with an animal's soul? Because I'm willing to bet it will never be seen.
Pain and that they're gentle creatures that mean no harm to us, and that
When you have a vegan moralising to you about killing animals, you just let them know that if the vegans had their way, every single one of the animals would be dying, starved on the field, and their rotting corpses would litter that piece of land until the land became unusable. Because you would never see these lazy, self-righteous idiots down at the farm caring for the animals which no longer have any economic value.
Maybe if people do make the connection, maybe they won't want to have these animals killed on their behalf so that they can eat them for Christmas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Why are you calling for everyone to be vegans and not vegetarians? There doesn't seem to be any sort of middle ground here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I used to be vegetarian for a long time, most of my life. I grew up in a working
Yeah, but then you realised that wasn't quite self-righteous enough, and you had to go to level 5 vegan.
farm, which a lot of people don't know. And I used to be vegetarian. I became vegan just through education, and I found out that the dairy industry and the egg industries are really cruel. I didn't realise that, you know, in order to have milk, you have to have a baby cow, and then in order to take the cow from the milk from the cow, you have to take away the baby. So I found out that actually the dairy industry is extremely cruel, and it kills millions of calves every year.
In 2016, 1% of the British population was vegan.
Yeah.
And now, in
Yeah,
April, I think it was,
risen.
it's 3.5.
The sheer joy, the joy in its face when it hears about the spread of its propaganda. These people are nothing but propaganda artists, and for some reason, in the society we live in today, propaganda artists are called the good people. You know, the same people that start wars and get millions of people killed. These are today called the nice people. All of the revolutionaries and the leftists and the radicals, they're all a big collection of self-righteous idiots who have been told by society that they're the nice people, but in reality they are some of the worst that society has to offer.
And now, in
Yeah,
April, I think it was,
risen.
it's 3.5 million, 7%. So obviously, you know, people are drifting away,
Yeah,
away from
yeah.
meat, through vegetarianism,
Yeah.
into veganism. So it's definitely happening. But
amazing.
the where
Because we're being infantilized and we're being stripped of our possessions, stripped of our liberty. All of our possessions are being taken away. We are becoming, as the communists desired, the propertyless slaves, which will make good with what we are given by our superiors.
people have a real dislike of the way it's being done is when
Yeah.
you have a guy like Matt, who's got his business up and running.
Yeah.
He's doing it as ethically as is possible. I know you don't accept
I
that.
don't think you can use
but
the
at
word
the same
ethical, but yeah.
at the same time, you've got people spray painting the front of his
Yeah.
shop.
At the end of the day, she's just dumb. She's just a stupid girl who is an interloper in affairs that she's not capable of understanding.
Front of his
100%,
business,
yeah.
and also calling him a murderer, and he's had death threats. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with violence in any form, really. This is kind of why I'm vegan. I mean, I'm sure some people get a bit.
If your kind were to ever obtain the majority, you would quickly begin to slaughter the dissidents.
Carried away with their passion, emotion, whatever. I don't agree with it. But then at the same time, like as a vegan, I get met with abuse from meat eaters all the time. Like if I talk about veganism or whatever on social channels, I
Yeah, they think, oh, will you shut up? I've had enough of your kind.
always get people sending me kind of abusive messages. So it goes both
So,
ways.
so
I
you're
think.
getting it in this, the sort
Yeah,
of same
I
respect
think-
because you are a
I think
vegan.
it's a huge controversial topic at the moment, and it is relevant. As you say, a lot of people are making the change to be more compassionate. So I think that it does go.
They only have this passive tone for the moment while they are clawing at their position from their trenches. But once they come up from the trenches and they see that their numbers are growing, that's when they will turn violent. And it will happen overnight, and it will be too late to do anything by then.
Go both ways, and it's a shame that that's happening, but I don't think it takes away from the fact that by being vegan you are making a more compassionate choice.
Final word to you, Matt. Anything you'd like to add?
No, I think
Buy my turkeys.
if a vegan's going to make a campaign and target anybody, I don't think a full small farm shop in Devon that's trying to be inclusive to everybody and look after their animals in the best way is the right place to
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Matt, but since you're only a small business, you're slim pickings for this Nazi, and you will be gotten rid of.
start. And if Lucy's going to make a decision, she wants to make it informed and educated, and then start in the right places. And criticising a farm shop in Devon is not the right place at all.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Thank you both. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to continue on with my propaganda campaign. Thank you very much, Phil and whatever the other woman's name is. Well, that's it for that one.